not expect the story to tilt in this direction so abruptly. And yet the more I replay the details in my mind, the more it feels inevitable, like every quiet glance and unfinished sentence had been pointing here all along. Jacob crossing the line, not just bending the rules, but stepping fully into dangerous territory, is not just a plot twist. It is a declaration of how far he is willing to go. Planting a listening device on Grayson is not a small decision. It is calculated, risky, and deeply personal. It tells me that Jacob is no longer satisfied with assumptions. He wants proof, and more importantly, he wants control over a situation that is clearly slipping into something far more complex than he initially imagined. I keep thinking back to that earlier scene with Smitty and Jacob. The way their conversation circled around Grayson without ever fully landing on a concrete accusation. There was tension there, the kind that builds when both people know something is off, but neither can fully articulate it yet. Jacob's instinct stood out to me in that moment. He was not guessing blindly. He was reading between the lines. Grayson's behavior, the pauses, the omissions, the subtle inconsistencies, they all added up. So when I consider Jacob's decision to bug him, it does not feel impulsive. It feels like the next logical step in a quiet investigation that has been brewing beneath the surface. But what really grips me is the duality of that decision. On one hand, if Jacob is right, if Grayson truly knows the identity of the hospital contact and has been deliberately withholding it, then this move could change everything. It could unlock a chain of information that leads directly to the core of the operation. I can almost imagine Jacob sitting in a dimly lit room, headphones on, listening to fragments of conversations, piecing together names, locations, intentions. There is a sense of anticipation there, a belief that he is on the verge of something big. On the other hand, the risk is enormous, almost suffocating when I think about it. If Grayson discovers the device, the consequences would not just be professional, they would be deeply personal and potentially lethal. Grayson is not portrayed as someone naive or easily manipulated. He is observant, cautious, and likely already aware that he is being watched from multiple angles. If he realizes Jacob is the one who crossed that line, it could shatter whatever fragile balance exists between them. And in a world where secrets are currency and betrayal is often punished without hesitation, Jacob could be putting his life directly in danger. Smitty's reaction becomes crucial in this context. I cannot imagine him agreeing with this approach, not because he lacks courage, but because he understands the cost of acting without a safety net. Smitty strikes me as someone who values strategy over impulse, who prefers to build a case slowly rather than gamble everything on a single move. Yet Jacob is different. His confidence, his skill set, and perhaps his growing frustration are pushing him toward more aggressive tactics. And strangely, despite the risks, I find myself believing in him. There is something about Jacob's precision, his ability to read people and situations, that makes me think he might actually pull this off. Then the narrative takes an even darker turn with the revelation about Leah. This is where everything shifts from suspicion to something far more disturbing. The idea that Leah, a department head in a hospital, could be involved in a plasma trafficking network is not just shocking, it is deeply unsettling. Hospitals are supposed to be places of healing, of trust, and yet here we are, confronting the possibility that the very system meant to save lives is being exploited for profit. I try to put myself in Jacob's position when he uncovers this truth. The shock must be overwhelming. It is one thing to suspect corruption. It is another to realize that someone in a position of authority is directly responsible for actions that lead to suffering and death. The image of patients dying due to blood shortages in emergency situations lingers in my mind. These are not abstract consequences. They are immediate, tangible, and tragic. And the fact that some victims are former operatives of the organization, tortured and killed, adds another layer of brutality to the entire operation. What fascinates me even more is the possibility that Leah is not just a middle figure. I cannot shake the feeling that she is far more deeply embedded in the system than it initially appears. The way she operates, the level of control she seems to exert, it all suggests that she is not merely passing along orders. She could be orchestrating entire segments of this network. The comparison to Joey feels accurate and chilling at the same time. They both seem to operate with a similar mindset, profit-driven, detached, willing to overlook or even facilitate actions that result in loss of life. If Leah is indeed using the hospital as a front for money laundering, then the scale of this operation is much larger than Jacob might have anticipated. Hospitals handle vast amounts of resources, financial transactions, and sensitive data. It is the perfect cover, almost too perfect. And that makes me think that taking her down will not be straightforward. Leah is not the kind of person who would leave loose ends. She is likely several steps ahead, with contingencies in place, allies in unexpected positions, and a deep understanding of how to manipulate the system to her advantage. This is why I believe Jacob's investigation is only just beginning. What he has uncovered so far is just the surface, a glimpse into a much deeper and more intricate network. The idea that the leader of Plasma King might soon be revealed adds another layer of anticipation. I find myself constantly wondering who it could be, someone hidden in plain sight, someone with enough influence to coordinate such a complex operation without drawing immediate attention. At the same time, Jacob's position becomes increasingly precarious. Going undercover in a situation like this is never easy, but now the stakes are higher than ever. Every move he makes has to be calculated, every interaction carefully managed. One wrong step could expose him, not just to Grayson or Leah, but to the entire network. And once that happens, there would be no turning back. While all of this unfolds, Naomi's storyline introduces a different kind of tension, one that is more personal, but no less intense. The revelation about her carrying the BRCA gene feels like a ticking clock, something that has been quietly looming in the background and is now impossible to ignore. The emotional weight of this is immense. It is not just about a medical condition, it is about fear, uncertainty, and the burden of knowing that her future might be shaped by something she cannot control. The distance between Naomi and Jacob only amplifies this tension. As Jacob becomes more consumed by his investigation, Naomi is left to grapple with her own fears and isolation. I can imagine the internal struggle she is going through, wanting to tell him, needing his support, but also knowing that doing so could disrupt everything he is working toward. It is a painful dilemma, one that adds depth to her character and makes her situation feel incredibly real. There is also the haunting possibility that Naomi might discover she has developed cancer, mirroring Anita's experience. This parallel is both tragic and powerful. It connects past and present, showing how certain struggles can echo across generations. And if that happens, it would force Naomi to confront her reality head-on. There would be no more hiding, no more delaying the conversation. She would have to tell Jacob, and in doing so, she would inevitably pull him away from his mission, at least emotionally, if not physically. This intersection of personal and professional conflict is where the story truly comes alive for me. Jacob is not just an investigator. He is a person with relationships, responsibilities, and vulnerabilities. Naomi is not just a subplot. She is a crucial part of his world. And as their paths become more entangled with the larger narrative, the tension continues to build. I find myself thinking about how all these threads will converge. The illegal plasma trade, Leah's hidden role, Grayson's secrets, Jacob's risky decisions, Naomi's health crisis, they are all moving toward a point of collision. And when that happens, it will not be quiet or contained. It will be explosive, emotional, and likely irreversible. What keeps me hooked is the uncertainty. I cannot predict exactly how things will unfold, but I can feel the momentum building. Each revelation adds pressure. Each decision narrows the margin for error. Jacob's gamble with the listening device might be the key that unlocks everything, or it could be the mistake that brings everything crashing down. And yet, despite all the risks, I cannot help but believe that he will push forward, because at this point, turning back is not an option. Not for him, not for Naomi, and not for anyone caught in the web of this unfolding story.